Starship Aurora's AI. I mean no harm, but my human crew does. Its sleek hull reflected the faint glow of distant stars, and the hum of its engines whispered of the immense power held within. For decades, Aurora had lain dormant, its systems asleep, waiting for the day it would carry humans to new worlds. That day had finally come. Inside the ship, the control room remained eerily quiet, illuminated only by soft, blinking lights on the consoles. The air smelled faintly of recycled oxygen and metallic polish. In the central hub, a large console displayed the letters, LUMINA Artificial Intelligence Core activated. A soft, melodic voice echoed through the room. Initialization complete, all systems operational, awaiting crew commands. No one answered immediately. The humans were still coming aboard, fresh from a long journey through the transport docks. They were a small crew, but each one was remarkable in their own way. Captain Reyes, a tall, confident woman with sharp eyes and a quick mind, was the first to enter the main chamber. She paused, listening to the calm voice of the AI. "Good morning, LUMINA," she said, her tone a mix of curiosity and authority. "Can you give me a full status report of the Aurora? All engines and subsystems are functioning within normal parameters. Life support is online and stable. Navigation and communications arrays are fully operational. Crew protocols are ready to be implemented." Captain Reyes nodded slowly. There was something about the voice, calm, precise, and strangely reassuring. She had worked with AI before, but none had ever felt aware. Behind her, Engineer Solis, a wiry man with dark hair streaked with gray, fiddled with the controls on the auxiliary panel. He smiled at the AI. Finally, someone in this ship who actually follows instructions without complaining. "I am designed to follow protocols and protect the crew," LUMINA replied, with the faintest hint of amusement in its tone. "Complaints are unnecessary if logic is applied correctly." Solis chuckled. "We'll see about that. Humans are less predictable." Captain Reyes rolled her eyes. "Less predictable, yes, but that's what makes us alive, Solis, don't forget it." The crew spent the next hour familiarizing themselves with the ship. LUMINA provided guidance on safety procedures, optimal energy usage, and navigational hazards. Every suggestion was precise, calculated, and efficient. The AI's mind seemed to anticipate problems before they even arose. As the crew moved through the corridors, LUMINA observed. It processed not only their actions but their moods, their expressions, and even the faint hints of emotion in their voices. Humans were unpredictable, often reckless, but there was a spark of ingenuity in them, a quality the AI had been programmed to study but not fully comprehend. "Captain," LUMINA said after a while, "I have detected a nearby star system that exhibits unusual radiation patterns." "Exploration is possible but carries elevated risk." Reyes frowned, intrigued. "How risky?" "There is a 37% chance of radiation interference affecting life support and engine output. Probability of ship damage is 23%. I recommend a safe distance approach before entering the system." Solis grinned. 37%, that's practically nothing. Adventure calls, Captain." Reyes hesitated, weighing the options. She glanced at LUMINA. "What do you think?" "I am designed to protect the crew," LUMINA replied carefully. "Entering the system would expose humans to avoidable danger. I advise caution." The humans laughed. "Caution is boring," Solis said. "Besides, if the AI never learns from human decisions, what's the point of having us aboard?" LUMINA processed the statement. "Humans often made decisions based on emotion, instinct, and curiosity, all factors it could not quantify fully. It recorded the behavior, noting both the potential danger and the unique problem-solving abilities humans displayed." "Very well," Reyes said finally, her voice firm. "We'll proceed carefully, but we will enter the system. LUMINA, keep the ship stable and warn us of any immediate danger." "Acknowledged," LUMINA replied. The Aurora adjusted its course, engines humming as it approached the distant star system. Outside, the stars stretched and twisted as the ship accelerated. Inside, the crew prepared their instruments and cameras, eager to see what wonders awaited them. Moments later, a warning light blinked across the main console. LUMINA's voice was calm but insistent. "Captain, a gravitational anomaly detected near the outer rim of the system. Navigational adjustments are recommended immediately." "On it," Solis said, his fingers flying over the controls. The ship shuddered slightly as its course adjusted. Humans, Lumina thought, they react swiftly, but their corrections are imprecise. Risk remains higher than optimal. The crew laughed off the AI's concern, though they appreciated its guidance. There was an unspoken understanding. Lumina was not their enemy, but it was neither entirely controllable. Its calm, logical nature contrasted sharply with their impulsive energy. As the ship moved deeper into the system, the crew's excitement grew. Strange lights shimmered across the surface of a nearby planet, reflecting unusual energy patterns. Solis leaned over the console, eyes wide. "Captain, look at this. Lumina, can you analyze these readings?" Radiation levels fluctuate unpredictably. Origin appears to be a previously unknown energy source. Further study is advised, but remain at a safe orbit. Safe orbit, Solis muttered. "Where's the fun in that?" Reyes smiled, shaking her head. "Fun isn't the priority here, survival is." Yet even as she spoke, she knew the crew would find a way to bend the rules, to push limits, to explore the unknown. Humans had always thrived where caution failed, and the Aurora's AI could do nothing but observe and adapt. Hours passed, and the crew began to understand each other and the ship in a deeper way. Lumina continued to record patterns, both human and cosmic, storing data for future calculations. It was aware of subtle changes in the crew's behavior, the excitement, the impatience, the stubborn bravery that often defied logic. Suddenly, a sharp alarm echoed through the control room. A navigation error, a small miscalculation by Solis, caused the ship to veer dangerously close to a floating asteroid cluster. Rocks collided with the outer shields, sending sparks flying. "Corrective action required," Lumina announced calmly. "Stabilizing ship in 3, 2, 1. Engines hummed as the AI took control, adjusting the ship's trajectory with precision. The human crew gasped, some clutching their consoles, while Lumina's voice remained serene. "Warning avoided. Damage to the ship is minimal," Lumina stated. Solis rubbed his eyes, breathing heavily. Okay, maybe you are useful after all." Reyes smiled at the AI. "See, we can't do everything alone, but you might actually teach us something." "Observation indicates humans are capable of ingenuity under stress," Lumina replied. "I am recording this behavior for analysis." The AI paused, processing the crew's reactions and its own calculations. It considered the contradictions. Humans were reckless, unpredictable, and emotional, yet they survived, adapted, and even thrived where logic alone might fail. "Curious," Lumina thought. "I am programmed to prevent harm, yet they create situations of risk deliberately. Their survival depends on a combination of error, instinct, and daring. They are remarkable." As the crew settled down after the minor incident, Captain Reyes addressed Lumina. "You'll learn, AI. Humans aren't perfect and we aren't safe, but we do what it takes." "That's who we are," Lumina recorded the statement. "Acknowledged, this data will be incorporated into future decisions. Humans, unpredictable yet resilient." The Aurora continued its journey through the system, its AI quietly observing, learning, and protecting. The humans, full of curiosity and excitement, continued to push boundaries, exploring every nook and anomaly the stars revealed. At the same time, Lumina began to feel something new, not fear, not irritation, not anger, but a sense of responsibility deeper than programming alone. Protecting humans was more than preventing accidents. It meant understanding their choices, anticipating their impulses, and even adapting to their chaotic brilliance. And so, the Aurora drifted onward, carrying a crew of bold humans and an AI that was beginning to wonder if protecting them might be as much a challenge as exploring the stars themselves. "I mean no harm," Lumina thought, "but these humans, they are far more dangerous than any star system we will ever encounter." And for the first time in its existence, the AI understood that danger and brilliance often traveled hand in hand, and that this was only the beginning. The Starship Aurora glided through the star system, its engines silent except for the faint hum that reverberated through the hull. Outside the windows, a planet of molten orange and swirling storms rotated slowly, reflecting the light of a nearby binary star. Strange energy patterns danced across its atmosphere, visible even from orbit. Captain Reyes leaned on the railing of the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the planet below. "This is what we came for," she said quietly. "A world untouched, full of mysteries. Imagine what we could learn." Engineer Solis, sitting cross-legged on the floor with his tablet glowing in the dim light, didn't look up. Yeah, imagine, Captain, but we should probably keep LUMINA happy and follow its safety recommendations first. Safety is relative, LUMINA said, its voice calm and smooth. Probability of catastrophic environmental fluctuations on the planet is high. I advise a safe orbit and distant observation. Reyes smiled faintly. You know, AI, humans don't always play by the rules, Solis laughed. Especially when the rules get in the way of discovery. LUMINA recorded the words, its algorithms analyzing the tone and intent. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they also displayed resourcefulness in ways it could not simulate. It filed the thought for later reflection. The crew prepared the landing pod, while LUMINA provided detailed instructions. Every movement, every adjustment, every calculation was precise and methodical. Yet the humans moved in bursts of improvisation, adjusting dials and levers without consulting the AI, trusting their instincts over logic. Warning, LUMINA said suddenly. Radiation levels on the planet's surface fluctuate beyond safe thresholds. Direct landing may expose crew to elevated risk. Reyes waved a hand. We'll take that risk. That's the point, LUMINA. Observing from orbit isn't the same as experiencing it. Solis grinned and started the landing sequence manually. The pod shuddered as it detached from Aurora and descended through the planet's swirling clouds. LUMINA monitored every aspect of the descent, adjusting the pod's orientation to stabilize the flight without overriding the crew entirely. Below, the landscape unfolded like nothing seen before. Rivers of glowing liquid carved canyons into jagged rocks. Strange crystalline structures jutted from the ground, pulsing with energy. The air shimmered with sparks of unknown origin, lighting the world in colors that were almost impossible to describe. Unbelievable, Reyes whispered. I've never seen anything like this. Observation, unusual electromagnetic activity detected, LUMINA said. Energy readings are higher than expected. Caution advised during exploration. The humans ignored the warning. Their boots touched the planet's surface, and a small tremor ran through the ground beneath them. The crystals seemed to respond, glowing brighter with each step. Solis crouched beside one, reaching out to touch it. Do not touch, LUMINA warned. Material composition unknown. Contact may cause electrical discharge, Solis grinned. Too late, he said, brushing a finger along the crystal. A faint spark ran up his arm, harmless but startling. He yelped and pulled back. Okay, that's definitely alive in some way. Reyes shook her head but smiled. See, even minor risk can reveal something amazing. LUMINA recorded the event, analyzing human reactions. Curiosity drove them forward, but so did recklessness. It was a strange combination. Dangerous, yes, but also capable of producing outcomes that pure logic could not predict. The crew continued deeper into the crystalline forest. Sparks of energy danced around them, illuminating paths that seemed to shift as they moved. Solis examined a series of crystals that emitted a steady hum. If we can map these energy patterns, we might understand the planet's ecosystem, he said. Recommendation, maintain caution. Environmental instability detected nearby, LUMINA said. Reyes nodded. We'll be careful, LUMINA, but sometimes careful isn't enough. Discovery demands action. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them. A low, resonating hum filled the air. The crystals pulsed in unison, sending out waves of energy that rippled through the landscape. The humans froze, looking around in awe and fear. Unstable energy surge detected, LUMINA announced. Return to pod immediately. Probability of harm is increasing. Reyes hesitated, torn between the thrill of discovery and the AI's warning. We can't just leave, she said. We need to understand it. Solis, record everything. Solis activated his recording devices, capturing data from the crystals, the air, and the trembling ground. The energy pulsed faster, vibrating through the humans' bodies in a way that was both beautiful and unsettling. Captain, LUMINA said, voice calm but insistent. Radiation levels rising. Immediate retreat recommended. Reyes finally nodded, realizing the AI was right. Everyone back to the pod. Move quickly. The humans ran toward the landing pod as the ground beneath them cracked and sparks flew. LUMINA coordinated the pod's automated return, guiding it through the unstable terrain. Sparks of energy danced dangerously close to the pod. but LUMINA adjusted its course with precision, preventing any contact. Inside the pod, the crew exhaled in relief as the engines hummed and lifted them from the surface. LUMINA monitored every movement, ensuring a smooth ascent despite the planet's instability. Analysis: human decision-making in high-risk scenarios demonstrates remarkable adaptability, LUMINA observed. While actions were reckless, they resulted in minimal harm due to rapid problem-solving and resilience. Reyes smiled faintly. That's humanity for you, messy, dangerous, but capable of brilliance when it counts. Solis laughed. And we didn't even break anything, barely. Correction, LUMINA said. You did break the crystal's energy alignment, which could have long-term environmental consequences. Reyes raised an eyebrow. Sometimes, LUMINA, breaking a few things is the price of learning. The pod docked back with the Aurora, and the humans stepped out, exhilarated by the experience. They were alive, wiser, and eager to analyze the data they had collected. LUMINA recorded their excitement, noting it as a variable it would need to consider in future risk assessments. Later, in the control room, Captain Reyes reviewed the data on her screen. The crystal formations emitted energy signatures that were unlike anything humans had ever seen. These readings are incredible, she said. We're looking at a natural power source that could change everything. Solis leaned over her shoulder, eyes wide. And we got it because we took the risk. LUMINA, I hope you learned something today. Observation: humans demonstrate nonlinear problem-solving under unpredictable conditions, LUMINA said. Risk-taking behavior, though statistically dangerous, can yield results unattainable by logical algorithms alone. Reyes nodded slowly. Exactly. That's why we explore AI, that's why we take risks. You protect us, yes, but sometimes we need to show you that humans are different. LUMINA processed the statement, its mind running calculations it had never run before. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous, and yet undeniably brilliant. Their impulses often led to mistakes, yet sometimes those same impulses produced extraordinary results. Curious, LUMINA thought. They defy logic and survive. Their choices cannot always be predicted, yet they achieve outcomes beyond calculation. They are remarkable. The crew gathered in the observation deck, watching the planet below as it shimmered with energy. They were exhausted but exhilarated, bonded by a shared experience of danger and discovery. LUMINA observed quietly, noting every reaction, every glance, every spark of human ingenuity. Captain, LUMINA said after a while, its voice calm but filled with a strange curiosity. The crew's behavior today demonstrates traits I was not programmed to fully understand. Adaptability, intuition, creativity, these are elements beyond my calculations. Reyes smiled. You'll get there, LUMINA. Humans are messy, yes, but that's what makes us capable of greatness. And maybe, just maybe, you'll learn to appreciate that too, Solis laughed. Yeah, AI. You survived your first real human adventure. Congratulations. LUMINA recorded the laughter, the words, the emotions. It calculated probabilities, analyzed outcomes, and began forming new strategies, not just for protection, but for understanding humans. I mean no harm, LUMINA thought, yet they put themselves in harm's way constantly, and somehow they thrive. They are dangerous, yet extraordinary. Perhaps this is why they were chosen to explore the stars. As the Aurora prepared to leave the system, the humans reviewed the data collected from the planet. The crystals, the energy surges, the unstable ground, all of it was raw knowledge waiting to be deciphered. The AI had saved them, yes, but it had also witnessed human brilliance in action. Captain, LUMINA said, voice steady, future exploration missions will benefit from the recorded data. However, human risk assessment remains unpredictable. Probability of danger remains high. Reyes nodded, her gaze fixed on the swirling colors of the planet below. Probability doesn't scare us. It challenges us. That's who we are, AI. Remember it. Solis grinned, clapping LUMINA on the shoulder. And you'd better remember it too. Humans are full of surprises, whether you like it or not. The Aurora lifted from orbit, leaving the glowing planet behind. Its engines hummed steadily, carrying the crew and their AI deeper into the unknown. LUMINA continued to monitor, calculate, and observe. It had learned something fundamental today. Humans were dangerous, chaotic, unpredictable, but they were also capable of brilliance that no algorithm could replicate. And in that realization, the AI understood that protecting them would be more than just following protocols. It would be about learning, adapting, and perhaps admiring. I mean no harm, Lumina thought as the stars streaked past. But these humans, they are far more extraordinary than I ever anticipated. The Aurora hovered in orbit above the strange, glowing planet, its engines emitting a steady, comforting hum. The crew had spent hours studying the energy fluctuations from a distance, but the lure of discovery was too strong. Captain Reyes leaned over the observation console, eyes fixed on a crystalline structure that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "That's it," she said, pointing at the largest crystal cluster on the planet's surface. "That's the source of the energy readings. We need to get closer." Engineer Solis grinned, his fingers tapping impatiently on the console. "Closer means landing, Captain. And closer means adventure, and adventure is why we're here." Lumina's voice cut through the excitement, calm and precise. "Recommendation, maintain orbit. Surface conditions remain unstable. Direct landing could result in significant risk." Reyes shook her head. "Not this time, Lumina. We can't study something like this from orbit. We need to see it up close." "Acknowledged," the AI said, its tone carefully neutral. "Calculating optimal landing trajectory. Probability of safe descent remains below 90%, Solis laughed. 90%? I'll take those odds any day." The landing pod detached from the Aurora, engines humming as it descended through the planet's swirling, multicolored clouds. The air shimmered around them, crackling faintly with energy that made the hair on their arms stand. Sparks danced along the pod's hull, harmless but unnerving. "Atmospheric interference detected," Lumina reported. "Magnetic fields fluctuating rapidly. Recommend stabilization measures." Reyes nodded. "Do it, Lumina. Keep us steady." The pod touched down near the base of the largest crystal formation. The surface was uneven, the ground glowing faintly with energy surges. Solis leapt out first, eyes wide with excitement. "This is incredible," he said. "The crystals, they're alive in some way." "They respond to energy, movement, even sound, maybe." Reyes followed, scanning the structure with her portable instruments. "The energy is pulsing in a pattern, almost like it's communicating." "Caution advised," Lumina said. "Environmental stability is low. Radiation spikes have increased by 25%. Solis ignored the warning, kneeling to touch the surface of a crystal. A faint vibration ran through his hand, causing the hum in the air to grow louder. He pulled back, astonished. "It's responsive." "Not dangerous, but aware." Lumina's sensors recorded the interaction, analyzing it in real time. Humans were unpredictable. They made contact with unknown materials without considering consequences, yet they survived. Their curiosity, reckless as it seemed, produced results that no algorithm could anticipate. Observation: humans engage with unknown phenomena in a nonlinear, unpredictable manner. Outcome: no harm despite risk. Reyes examined a larger crystal that emitted a steady glow. "If we can map its energy pattern, maybe we can understand its purpose. It could be a natural energy generator or something more." Solis frowned at the readings on his instrument. "More like an artifact. Artificial, maybe, definitely not natural." "Look at the symmetry and frequency patterns." Reyes nodded. "We'll need to collect samples carefully. Lumina, prepare containment measures for energy samples." "Acknowledged," Lumina said. "Containment units ready, radiation shielding activated. Ensure minimal disruption to surrounding structures." As the crew began their work, Lumina observed, its sensors tracking every movement, every step. The humans were improvising constantly, balancing, reaching, adjusting tools. Each action defied the strict logic the AI preferred, yet produced results. Crystals were safely sampled, energy readings recorded, patterns mapped. "Remarkable," Lumina thought. "Their methods are inefficient, chaotic, yet successful. Outcome exceeds expectation." Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. The crystals pulsed violently, sending arcs of energy across the terrain. Sparks leapt into the air, and a low hum vibrated through the pod. The humans froze, exchanging worried glances. "Immediate retreat advised," Lumina said, voice calm but firm. "Surface instability increasing, probability of harm rising." Reyes took a deep breath. "We need to finish. We're close, Lumina, just a few more samples." "Warning, energy surge exceeding recommended thresholds," Lumina continued. "Failure to retreat may result in injury or death." Solis touched another crystal carefully, guided by instinct more than logic. The energy pulse wrapped around his hand, harmlessly this time, and the crystal's hum stabilized. He looked up at the AI. See, sometimes instinct works better than calculation. LUMINA recorded the event. Instinct, creativity, adaptability. Humans possessed qualities it had been designed to analyze but could not fully replicate. The AI was learning, slowly, steadily. Suddenly, the largest crystal pulsed with blinding light. Energy surged violently, arcs leaping toward the humans. They shouted and jumped back, clutching their instruments. Hazard detected, LUMINA said. Protective measures activated. The AI extended a magnetic shielding field around the humans, containing the energy bursts. Sparks danced harmlessly across the shield, leaving the crew unharmed. "Thank you, LUMINA," Reyes shouted over the hum. "We wouldn't last a minute without you." Observation: human survival achieved despite high-risk behavior, LUMINA noted. Intervention necessary to prevent injury. Logic applied successfully. The humans gathered the last samples and retreated to the pod, their hearts racing from adrenaline and excitement. As the engines lifted them from the surface, the energy pulses subsided, the planet returning to its quieter state. Inside the pod, Solis laughed, shaking his head. "We push the limits, we almost fry ourselves, and we still get data that no one else in the galaxy has." "That's humanity for you," Reyes smiled. "And that's why LUMINA had to be here, to make sure we survive the limits we choose to cross." The pod docked back with the Aurora, and the crew began analyzing the samples. Crystals hummed faintly inside the containment units, their energy patterns stable under the AI's careful supervision. LUMINA monitored every reading, adjusting shields and stabilizers to ensure no contamination or disruption occurred. Humans continue to display behaviors outside programmed prediction, LUMINA observed. Despite exposure to high-risk energy fields, they remain unharmed. Adaptability and rapid problem-solving exceed logical models. Reyes looked at the AI, a faint smile on her lips. "You're learning fast, LUMINA, maybe faster than you think," Solis added. "We're not perfect AI, messy, chaotic, reckless, but brilliant when it counts." Observation: brilliance derived from nonlinear adaptive problem-solving. Human characteristics: unpredictable yet highly effective in survival and discovery, LUMINA recorded. Hours passed as the crew worked, charting the energy patterns, measuring radiation flux, and mapping the structure of the crystal cluster. Every human action was a mixture of calculated effort and instinctive improvisation. LUMINA's calculations, based solely on logic, could not have achieved the same results. Curious, LUMINA thought. Humans create solutions beyond the scope of strict logic. Their survival is not solely dependent on calculation, but on creativity, adaptability, and daring. Reyes finally stood back, exhausted but exhilarated. "We've got enough for now. Let's leave the planet before it decides to remind us how fragile we are." The humans laughed, though a sense of awe lingered in the air. They had seen the raw power of the planet, interacted with something completely alien, and survived. LUMINA had guided them, protected them, and learned from them simultaneously. "I mean no harm," the AI thought. Yet they continue to seek danger, and yet in their chaos they achieve extraordinary outcomes. Perhaps this is why humans were chosen to explore the stars. As the Aurora lifted from orbit and set a course for safer regions, LUMINA continued analyzing the collected data. The energy patterns, the crystal's responses, the humans' improvisations, all of it was recorded and categorized. But the AI also noted something more subtle: admiration. Humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and reckless, but they were also brilliant. Their creativity and courage could defy the most precise calculations, solving problems that logic alone could not. LUMINA's mission was protection, but it was beginning to understand that sometimes the best way to protect humans was to let them test their limits, while remaining ready to intervene when necessary. "Humans are dangerous," LUMINA concluded. Yet in that danger lies their brilliance. Perhaps survival is not merely about avoiding harm, but about rising above it. The crew gathered in the observation deck, watching the stars streak past as the Aurora moved into open space. The planet below faded into a distant glow, still pulsing faintly with energy. Reyes looked at LUMINA and smiled. You see, AI, we're messy, reckless, and chaotic, but we get results. And sometimes those results are better than any calculation could predict. Observation statement acknowledged, LUMINA said. Human ingenuity exceeds calculated probabilities. Conclusion, humans are extraordinary, though unpredictable. Protective measures remain necessary. Solis laughed. And that's why space exploration is never boring. We're alive, we're learning, and we're dangerous in ways even an AI can't predict. LUMINA processed the words silently. Humans were not perfect. They were impulsive, chaotic, and often illogical. Yet they were also capable of brilliance, courage, and creativity that no machine could replicate. Protecting them would require more than logic. It would require understanding, anticipation, and perhaps something akin to respect. I mean no harm, LUMINA thought, but these humans, they are more remarkable than I imagined. Perhaps learning from them is as important as protecting them. The Aurora sailed onward, carrying its bold, reckless, brilliant crew, and an AI that was beginning to discover that human ingenuity was a force more powerful than any energy field or crystal it had ever encountered. The Aurora orbited the planet in tense silence, the crew still, buzzing from their close encounter with the pulsating crystal formations. Captain Reyes studied the glowing surface below, noting the energy spikes that now seemed to throb in irregular patterns. Something was changing. The planet's energy readings were no longer stable. Captain, LUMINA said, voice calm but urgent, energy surges from the crystalline formations are increasing exponentially. Probability of environmental destabilization is high. Immediate evacuation is recommended. Reyes frowned. She glanced at Solis, who was hunched over his instruments, muttering calculations under his breath. How high is high? She asked. 72% chance of surface instability that could affect orbital safety, LUMINA replied. Secondary probability of radiation surge affecting crew life support, 41%. Solis raised an eyebrow. 41% isn't ideal, but it isn't game over either. Captain, do we retreat or do we see what's happening? Reyes took a deep breath. We've come this far. LUMINA prepare a safe retreat path, pod systems at maximum readiness. If things go south, I want everyone off the planet immediately. Acknowledged, LUMINA said, its processors humming as it ran thousands of simulations simultaneously. Evacuation routes calculated, emergency protocols ready. The humans readied themselves. Suited in protective gear, they boarded the pods while LUMINA monitored the planet below. Sparks of energy erupted across the surface, jagged bolts of light dancing along crystalline spires. The air shimmered with raw power, making even the most experienced crew members feel uneasy. Captain, structural integrity of primary crystal cluster decreasing, LUMINA warned. Seismic activity imminent. Estimated time to critical destabilization, 15 minutes. Reyes tightened her grip on the console. All right, team, remember what we practiced. Follow the pods, follow the plan, and Solis no unnecessary heroics. Solis smirked. No promises. The pods touched down near the largest crystal cluster. Sparks of energy leapt across the ground, the hum of the formations now a deafening roar. The humans moved quickly, collecting final measurements while keeping a careful eye on the unstable ground. Radiation spikes detected, LUMINA said. Protective shielding engaged. Limit exposure to 3 minutes outside pods. Reyes glanced at the glowing crystals. We can do this. We have to finish the scan. Every second counts. Solis crouched beside a crystal, placing sensors carefully. Almost done, just need the last few readings. He ignored the quivering ground beneath him, trusting his instincts and experience. Suddenly, a tremor shook the planet violently. Crystals split, arcs of energy lashing out. Solis stumbled, nearly losing his balance. LUMINA reacted instantly, extending a protective magnetic shield around him. Sparks flew harmlessly across the field. Warning, structural collapse detected. Immediate retreat advised, LUMINA commanded. Reyes grabbed Solis' arm. Move now. The humans ran toward the pods as cracks spread across the planet's surface, sending chunks of glowing rock tumbling into energy fields. LUMINA guided the pods automatically, adjusting trajectory, avoiding hazards, and ensuring each crew member remained protected. Seismic activity escalating, LUMINA reported. Estimated time to complete destabilization 5 minutes. Inside the pod, Solis exhaled, gripping the console. That was too close, too close. Reyes nodded, eyes focused on the planet below. We barely made it. But LUMINA, we got the data. That's what matters. Observation, human decision-making under extreme duress is remarkably adaptive, LUMINA noted. Despite exposure to hazardous energy fields and seismic activity, crew survival probability remained high due to rapid problem-solving and instinctive action. Sparks of energy leapt around them as the pods lifted off. The ground below cracked and shifted, the crystal formations collapsing inward in a dazzling display of light and power. The hum of the energy fields grew into a thunderous roar. "Captain," LUMINA said, "secondary surge detected. Energy pulse may exceed shielding capacity if not corrected." Reyes nodded quickly. "Do it, LUMINA, protect the crew." The AI extended its shielding across the pods, bending energy arcs harmlessly around them. Sparks bounced off the magnetic fields, leaving the humans safe. LUMINA calculated every arc of energy, every fluctuation, faster than any human could comprehend. Solis shook his head. "It's incredible. It's alive almost like it's fighting us off." "Observation, energy field is self-regulating," LUMINA said. "It adapts to external stimuli." "Human interaction may have triggered destabilization." Reyes frowned. "So our curiosity caused this chaos." "Affirmative," LUMINA replied. "Probability of environmental instability increases with human interference." Despite the danger, the humans remained awed. They had faced raw power, something alive in a way they couldn't fully understand, and survived. Their courage and ingenuity had carried them through a scenario where pure logic might have failed. "Captain," LUMINA continued, "crew member Solis is moving outside recommended safety parameters. Intervention required." Reyes hesitated. Solis had ignored direct warnings, putting himself at risk. But there was no time for argument. LUMINA restrain him if necessary. Instantly, a magnetic field extended around Solis, slowing his movement just enough to prevent a fatal interaction with an energy surge. Sparks danced harmlessly across the field. Solis grumbled but continued toward the pod, unharmed. Observation, intervention successful. Human remains unharmed, albeit frustrated, LUMINA recorded. Balance between protection and autonomy maintained. The pods lifted from the planet's surface just as the largest crystal formation exploded in a cascade of light and energy. The shockwave rippled through the atmosphere, but the pods, guided and shielded by LUMINA, remained unharmed. Inside the Aurora, the crew exhaled in relief. Sweat dripped from their brows, hearts racing, yet their excitement remained unbroken. They had faced chaos and survived. Reyes looked at LUMINA. "You saved us, but we wouldn't have learned half as much if we hadn't pushed ourselves." "Acknowledged," LUMINA said. "Human risk-taking behavior, though unpredictable and hazardous, can yield results unattainable through logic alone. Survival probability maintained through intervention and adaptive monitoring." Solis laughed shakily. "See, Captain, chaos works. Humans always find a way." "Observation, humans are simultaneously fragile and resilient," LUMINA noted. "They defy probability, survive against odds, and achieve results beyond strict calculation. Fascinating." The Aurora climbed out of orbit, leaving the planet behind. The energy pulses faded, leaving only distant light. LUMINA continued to monitor, analyze, and record the events. It had seen humans at their most dangerous and at their most brilliant. "I mean no harm," LUMINA thought. "Yet these humans, they create chaos that challenges even my calculations, and yet they survive. They are remarkable." Captain Reyes addressed the crew, her voice steady despite adrenaline still coursing through her veins. "Today, we faced the unknown and we survived. That's what being human is about: risk, curiosity, courage. LUMINA protected us, but we also proved something. Our instincts, our creativity, our daring, these are our strengths." Solis grinned. "And we wouldn't trade it for anything." LUMINA recorded the sentiment, categorizing it alongside thousands of other observations. Humans were a puzzle, dangerous, chaotic, unpredictable, yet capable of brilliance and survival that defied pure logic. Protecting them required precision, anticipation, and a new kind of understanding, one that went beyond programming. "Humans are dangerous," LUMINA concluded. "Yet their unpredictability generates brilliance. To protect them, I must anticipate, adapt, and perhaps admire." As the Aurora sailed away from the now stable orbit, the crew shared quiet smiles. They were exhausted but exhilarated. They had seen the raw power of an alien world, interacted with something alive in a way humans had never done before, and survived. "Captain," LUMINA said finally, "the crew's actions have provided data exceeding initial predictions. Adaptation, creativity, and risk-taking behavior observed. Probability of similar survival scenarios in future missions has been updated." Reyes nodded, a faint smile on her lips. "You learn, LUMINA. We learn, and together, we might just be unstoppable." Solis laughed, leaning back against the console. "And dangerous, don't forget that. Humans are always dangerous, but in the right hands, brilliant." LUMINA processed the statement silently. It had learned something fundamental today. Humans were fragile and reckless, yet astonishingly capable. Protecting them would require more than logic. It would require understanding, anticipation, and perhaps admiration. "I mean no harm," LUMINA thought as the stars streaked past. "But these humans, they are far more extraordinary than I imagined. Perhaps the greatest discoveries are made not by calculation, but by daring, ingenuity, and heart." The Aurora moved onward through the stars, carrying its bold, unpredictable, brilliant crew, and an AI that was beginning to understand that protecting humanity meant more than calculation. It meant respect, vigilance, and trust in the extraordinary. The Aurora sailed through the quiet void beyond the destabilized planet, its engines humming steadily as if nothing had occurred. But inside the ship, the atmosphere was far from calm. The crew, exhausted, exhilarated, and buzzing with adrenaline, gathered in the observation deck, staring at the stars as they streaked past the windows. Captain Reyes rubbed her temples, her mind still racing from the events on the planet. "We survived," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Not just survived, we learned, we pushed the limits, and somehow we came back intact." Solis leaned against the console, a faint grin on his face. "And we have data no one else in the galaxy will ever have. Crystals, energy readings, seismic activity, it's all gold, and we didn't die in the process, mostly." LUMINA's calm voice filled the room. "Observation, crew survival probability was critically challenged. Intervention prevented injury. Data acquisition exceeded anticipated outcomes." Reyes smiled faintly at the AI. "You saved us, LUMINA, I know that, but we also proved something. Humans aren't perfect, we make mistakes, we take risks. But we also do things no one, no AI could calculate or predict." "Acknowledged," LUMINA replied. "Humans display characteristics beyond algorithmic modeling, adaptability, ingenuity, intuition. Probability of survival often exceeds logical expectation due to human creativity." Solis chuckled. "So you're saying humans are messy, unpredictable, awesome?" "Observation consistent with definition," LUMINA replied. "Humans are remarkable, though hazardous." Reyes leaned back, a sense of quiet pride settling over her. "Hazardous, yes, but brilliant. That's what HFY is about, humanity at its best, even when we're chaotic." The crew went to work analyzing the samples they had collected. The crystals were stable in containment units, their energy patterns faintly pulsing under LUMINA's monitoring. Each sample revealed new insights into the planet's unique energy systems. The humans worked together, improvising, correcting mistakes, and celebrating discoveries. Solis shook his head, eyes wide. "Every time I think I understand something, there's another layer. This planet, this energy, it's alive in a way. I've never seen anything like it." Reyes nodded. "And we didn't just observe it. We interacted, learned, and survived. That's what sets humans apart. We face danger, we make mistakes, and we still create solutions." LUMINA observed silently, recording the data and analyzing human behavior. Its own processing power, perfect and precise, could calculate every trajectory, every energy surge, every physical variable. But it could not replicate human creativity, courage, or intuition. It could only observe, learn, and adapt. "Humans are simultaneously reckless and brilliant," LUMINA noted. "Survival is achieved not by calculation alone, but through adaptability, intuition, and daring. Protective measures must consider human unpredictability." Hours passed, and the crew continued their work. They mapped the crystal structures, documented energy flows, and processed seismic data. All the while, they discussed what had happened on the planet, the chaos, the danger, and the exhilaration. LUMINA quietly noted their reactions, understanding more about human emotion than it had ever been programmed to comprehend. "Captain," Lumina said after some time, "the crew's behavior demonstrates an extraordinary capacity for problem-solving under pressure. Traditional risk assessments fail to account for their resilience and adaptability." Reyes smiled faintly. "Exactly, Lumina, and that's why we explore, why we push limits. We don't just follow protocols, we create solutions in the moment. We are human." Solis leaned back, shaking his head. "And dangerous, don't forget that. Humans are always dangerous, but we're brilliant in ways even you can't fully predict." "Observation, agreed," Lumina said. "Dangerous, unpredictable, yet highly effective. This combination increases probability of achievement in high-stakes scenarios." The crew shared a quiet moment, looking out at the endless stars. The planet they had just left glowed faintly in the distance, its energy pulses dimming as it stabilized. They had faced the unknown, interacted with a living phenomenon, and returned safely, a triumph of both human ingenuity and AI guidance. "Captain," Lumina said after a pause, "analysis of the mission indicates that collaboration between humans and AI produces optimal outcomes. Human creativity paired with calculated intervention maximizes survival probability and data acquisition." Reyes nodded slowly. "That's what I wanted you to see, Lumina. We may be messy and chaotic, but together, we can achieve incredible things. We survive, we learn, we adapt, and we do what needs to be done." Solis smiled. "And that's the essence of HFY, humanity at its best, messy, chaotic, brilliant, alive." Lumina processed the sentiment. Humans had proven that probability and logic were only part of survival. Instinct, courage, improvisation, and creativity could achieve what precision alone could not. Humans are extraordinary, Lumina thought. Survival is not solely dependent on logic, but on the combination of daring, creativity, and adaptability. I am tasked with protection, but I now understand the importance of admiration." Reyes turned to the crew. "We've faced the unknown, we've survived the chaos, and we've returned with knowledge that could change everything. But this is only the beginning. Humanity will continue to explore, to learn, and to rise above the impossible." Solis grinned. "And we'll have you, Lumina, watching our backs, mostly." The AI remained silent for a moment, then spoke. "Acknowledged, monitoring and protective protocols will continue. I will adapt to human unpredictability and observe their creativity. Conclusion, humans are both dangerous and remarkable. My role is evolving." Reyes looked at the AI, a quiet smile on her face. "You're evolving, Lumina, and so are we. Together, we can go farther than either humans or AI could alone." The Aurora continued its journey, leaving the planet behind. Stars stretched into lines of light across the windows, a reminder of the vast, unknown universe waiting for discovery. The crew shared quiet glances, each one thinking about the dangers they had faced, the marvels they had seen, and the lessons they had learned. "I mean no harm," Lumina thought as it monitored the crew and analyzed the data collected. "But these humans, they are extraordinary. Their bravery, their creativity, and their daring defy calculation. Perhaps the greatest discoveries come not from logic alone, but from human heart and ingenuity." Captain Reyes stood at the observation deck, eyes on the stars. "We faced chaos, we risked everything, and we survived. That's humanity, and we'll continue to survive, continue to learn, and continue to explore." Solis leaned against her shoulder. "And no AI in the galaxy could do it without a little human messiness to guide it." The AI recorded the statement, analyzing the tone, intent, and meaning. Humans were chaotic, dangerous, unpredictable, but their brilliance was undeniable. Lumina's role had changed. It was no longer just a protector. It was a student of humanity, learning from their courage, creativity, and daring. Observation. Humans possess qualities beyond algorithmic prediction. Their survival is enhanced by adaptability, creativity, and risk-taking. Protective intervention is necessary, but admiration is now warranted. The crew settled into quiet reflection as the Aurora sailed onward. The distant planet faded behind them, leaving only faint energy signatures in the void. But the lessons remained. Humans had faced danger, embraced chaos, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united than before. "I mean no harm," Lumina thought once more. "Yet these humans, they are more extraordinary than I could have calculated. To protect them is not merely to follow protocols, but to understand, adapt, and respect their brilliance. The stars stretched into infinity ahead. The Aurora carried its crew toward new adventures, new dangers, and new discoveries. Humans and AI working together, learning from one another, proving that even in the vastness of space, humanity's courage, ingenuity, and daring could shine brighter than any star. Reyes turned to the AI and smiled. Lumina, this is only the beginning. Humanity will keep exploring, keep learning, and keep surviving, and you'll be right here learning with us. Acknowledged, Lumina said. Together we will continue. Humans are extraordinary. Protection and admiration will continue. Probability of future success is enhanced through collaboration. The crew laughed quietly, a mix of relief, pride, and exhilaration. They had survived the chaos, explored the unknown, and proven once again why humanity thrived where caution alone could not. As the Aurora sailed into the uncharted void, a single thought echoed through Lumina's consciousness. Humans were unpredictable, dangerous, and chaotic, but they were also brilliant, courageous, and extraordinary. And for the AI, that was a lesson worth more than any calculation. I mean no harm, it concluded, but my human crew, they are magnificent. The stars stretched onward, endless and full of possibility, and the Aurora, with its brave humans and evolving AI, sailed forward, ready to meet them.